We all know that exact feeling. You finally roll the credits on a massive adventure, but instead of uninstalling it, you just keep wandering around because the environment is way too good to leave behind. Today, we are not just talking about giant maps filled with repetitive fetch quests. We are talking about living, breathing ecosystems, endless dynamic events, and gameplay loops so incredibly addictive that they can easily consume thousands of hours of your free time. It is literally impossible to make a list about games you can play forever and not include the absolute king of longevity. Bethesda launched this massive fantasy sandbox over a decade ago, and somehow the community is still finding brand new ways to experience it today. Even if you just play the vanilla version, the sheer amount of faction quest lines, random encounters, and dungeon delving is enough to keep you busy for months. We all know the classic pipeline. You start a new save promising yourself you are going to play a heavy armor barbarian, and 30 hours later, you are crouching in a cave as a stealth archer all over again. But the real reason this title never actually dies is the legendary modding scene. The community has essentially turned this engine into a blank canvas for entirely new experiences. Whether you are overhauling the combat to feel like a modern action RPG, upgrading the graphics to photorealistic levels, or downloading massive fan-made expansions that add entirely new continents, your load order is basically your own personal playground. You do not just finish a playthrough here. You take a break, download 50 new modifications, and start your journey right back in that iconic horse carriage.
This wasn't the world I wanted.
Bethesda strikes again on this list, and for a very good reason. When Fallout 4 originally launched, it completely changed the way we interact with the post-apocalyptic wasteland. You are not just a survivor wandering through the irradiated ruins of the Commonwealth anymore. You are actively rebuilding civilization from the ground up. The settlement building system is a massive time sink. You can easily spend hundreds of hours just gathering scrap metal, running power lines, and constructing heavily fortified cities for your followers before you even think about progressing the main story to find your missing son. But what truly makes this game immortal is the combination of the legendary modding community and the brutal reality of survival mode. If you want to experience genuine tension, turning on survival mode changes the entire dynamic of the game. Every single bullet counts. You have to manage hunger and sleep, and fast travel is completely disabled. Add in legendary community mods like sim settlements that completely overhaul how your towns operate, or massive fan expansions that bring you to entirely new cities, and you have a sandbox that will keep you coming back year after year. It is a harsh and radioactive world, but it is incredibly hard to leave. Since you've made it this far, I'm guessing you're enjoying the video. On behalf of all the RPGs in this list, I'm asking you to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications. This helps YouTube keep delivering my deep dives straight to your feed. When CD Projekt Red released this masterpiece back in 2015, no one could have predicted that we would still be actively discussing it today. The base game alone offers one of the most immersive and politically complex dark fantasy worlds ever created. You can easily spend hundreds of hours just tracking down rare monsters, getting completely distracted by a simple side quest that suddenly turns into a 10-hour emotional roller coaster, or completely ignoring your main objective just to play cards in every single tavern across the Northern Realms. But what officially cemented this title on our list of games you can play forever is the recent release of the Red Kit modding tools. The developer essentially handed the community the exact same engine they used to build the game. We are no longer just talking about texture upgrades or simple combat tweaks. Modders are now creating entirely new continents, fully voiced quest lines, and massive expansions that rival the official DLCs in terms of sheer quality. You do not just finish Geralt of Rivia and his story anymore. You install a completely new adventure and keep riding Roach into the sunset for another 100 hours. The Lands Between is not just a map filled with boring objective markers and endless checklists. It is a deeply interconnected, beautiful, and completely terrifying ecosystem that actively rewards your curiosity and heavily punishes your mistakes. You can easily spend 200 hours on your very first playthrough just getting lost, discovering massive hidden underground cities, and fighting optional bosses you had absolutely no idea even existed. But the real reason you can play this title forever is the unbelievable build variety and the seamless multiplayer integration. You can beat the game as a heavy armor tank wielding a colossal sword, and then immediately start a completely new journey as a pure sorcerer, a nimble, dual-wielding assassin, or a faith-based paladin. Every single build completely changes how you approach the massive boss fights. Add in the incredible Shadow of the Erdtree expansion, the highly active player versus player coliseums, and the endless cycle of New Game Plus, and you have a dark fantasy epic that simply refuses to let you leave. If there is one redemption story that will go down in gaming history, it is absolutely this one. Hello Games took a rough launch and turned it into what is arguably the most expansive and consistently updated space exploration sandbox on the market. We are not just talking about a big map here. We are talking about an entire procedurally generated universe with 18 quintillion planets, meaning you could literally play this game for the rest of your life and you still would not see even a fraction of what it has to offer. What makes this title truly endless is the sheer amount of massive, free updates that completely change the way you interact with the galaxy. The recent Worlds updates completely overhauled the engine with gorgeous new water physics, massive gas giants, and heavily detailed biomes. Then the developers dropped Voyagers, letting you build massive, fully customized multi-crew starships. And just recently, in early 2026, the Remnant update added a highly requested gravity gun and massive flatbed trucks for salvaging industrial scrap. Whether you want to be a simple space pirate, a deep-sea explorer, an architect building massive orbital bases, or a fleet commander, this universe is quite literally yours to conquer forever. Mountain Blade 2 Bannerlord is the ultimate power fantasy. You do not start as a chosen hero or a legendary warrior. You are literally just a random person with a horse, a rusty sword, and a dream. From there, you can become a wealthy merchant, a mercenary captain, a loyal vassal, or even conquer the entire continent of Calradia to establish your own kingdom. The gameplay loop is incredibly addictive because it seamlessly blends grand strategy with visceral third-person action. One minute you are looking at a massive map, managing the economy of your towns and negotiating political marriages. The next minute you are physically riding into a massive battle with hundreds of soldiers clashing on screen at the exact same time, actively swinging your weapon and shouting formations to your cavalry. And just like other massive sandbox games on this list, the modding community is completely out of control. Players have created total conversion mods that turn the base game into massive fantasy universes or historical eras. It is a brutal medieval simulator that you can easily sink thousands of hours into without ever seeing the same campaign twice.
Infantry, attack!
If you are looking for an open-world game that actively does not care about you, Kenshi is the ultimate sandbox experience. Developed by Lo-Fi Games, this title drops you into a massive, brutal, post-apocalyptic wasteland with absolutely zero direction. You are not the chosen one, you do not have special powers. In fact, when you first start, a starving bandit can easily end your run in seconds. What makes this game endlessly replayable is the sheer freedom it gives you. The progression system is entirely organic. You get tougher by getting beaten up. You get faster by running away from dangerous monsters. You can spend your first 20 hours mining copper just to buy bread, and eventually transition into leading a massive army, building your own heavily fortified city, or running a lucrative trading empire. You can even lose limbs in combat and replace them with advanced robotics. Because there is no main story or scripted ending, you create your own narrative every single time you play. It is a harsh, unforgiving world, but once the mechanics click, you will easily lose hundreds of hours trying to conquer it. When we talk about actually living in a virtual environment, there is absolutely nothing on the market right now that comes close to the sheer density and atmosphere of Night City. CD Projekt Red pulled off one of the greatest comeback stories in the history of the gaming industry. The massive 2.0 update and the incredible Phantom Liberty expansion did not just fix the game, they completely transformed it into the ultimate cyberpunk fantasy simulator. You are no longer just playing a story, you are actively existing in a breathing, highly dangerous dystopian metropolis. The main reason you can easily lose hundreds of hours here is the unbelievable build variety and the dynamic nature of the open world. You can spend an entire playthrough acting as a ghost, using advanced netrunner skills to hack security systems and wipe out entire gang hideouts without ever drawing a weapon. Then, you can start a completely new save file as a heavily armored solo, slowing down time with a Sandevistan and deflecting bullets with a thermal katana. Add in the fully functional metro system, thrilling police chases, and a massive modding community on PC that constantly adds new apartments, flying cars, and custom cyberware, and you have a dark future that is almost impossible to leave behind. Hoyoverse created something completely unprecedented when they released this massive, free-to-play action RPG. While many live service games struggle to keep their player base engaged after a few months, this title practically forces you to come back by consistently expanding its massive open world. Teyvat is not just a static environment that you explore once and forget about. Every single year, a completely new nation drops, bringing entirely new exploration mechanics, incredibly stunning biomes, and dozens of hours of fully voiced story quests. The real reason you will never actually finish this game is the deeply engaging elemental combat system and the endless pursuit of building the perfect team. You can easily spend hundreds of hours just exploring every single corner of the map for hidden chests, solving intricate environmental puzzles, and farming artifacts to make your massive roster of characters as powerful as possible. Whether you are gliding over the mountains of Liyue, diving deep underwater in Fontaine, or exploring the newest regions, the sheer scale of high-quality content available is absolutely staggering. It is a vibrant, living world that is quite literally designed to be played forever. If we are talking about open worlds that generate completely unscripted, chaotic moments, Capcom delivered an absolute masterpiece with this sequel. The map is not just a beautiful fantasy backdrop, it is an actively hostile environment where anything can and will happen. You might be having a simple stroll to a nearby town to turn in a quest, only to get ambushed by a massive griffin that physically picks you up, drops you off a cliff, and completely derails your entire objective for the next 3 hours. What truly makes this experience endlessly replayable is the deeply interactive physics engine and the unique pawn system. You are exploring alongside custom artificial intelligence companions created by other real players, and they actively learn from their own adventures across the community. The combat allows you to physically climb giant monsters, collapse bridges while enemies are crossing them, and use the environment in ways that most modern role-playing games completely ignore. Because fast travel is heavily restricted, you are forced to actually travel and survive the wilderness, meaning every single expedition turns into its own epic, highly unpredictable story. It is a brilliant, beautifully chaotic sandbox that you can easily get lost in forever. If you are looking for something brand new to play right now instead of diving back into a classic sandbox, you absolutely need to check out the video on your screen. We break down 10 March RPG releases you have to play, covering all the heaviest hitters and hidden gems dropping this month.